Good morning and welcome to an exciting day to talk business. It's Business 360 and my name is Blyden Okeme. In Business 360 today, we'll look at top stories making rounds in the world of business, beginning with food prices. World food prices rose for the first time in a year. Also, from a Nigerian point of view, the House of Representatives raised President Buhari's extra budgetary spending to 23.7 trillion naira. In the US, regarding US regional bank, Parkway's plunge as investors worry that crisis is not over. We begin from there. Uncertainty and the health of the banking system remain strong. Shares of smaller regional lender Parkway's Bank plunged nearly 50% on Thursday after the company confirmed report that it was considering strategic options that may include the possible sale of the company. Parkway's, based in Los Angeles, said in a statement that it was not experiencing any out-of-the-ordinary deposit withdrawals and still plans on selling off some assets to free up cash on its balance. Failed over the past 2 months, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank. That's the concern still within the US regarding the banking sector. Still in the US, looking at the tech sector. Tech bosses were summoned to the White House on Thursday and told they must protect the public from the dangers of artificial intelligence AI. Sundar Pichai of Google, Satya Nadella made it clear that it may regulate the sector further. Recently launched AI products like ChatGPT and Bard have captured the public's imagination. They offer ordinary users the chance to interact with what is known as generative AI, which can summarize information from multiple sources within seconds, debug computer code, write presentations, and even poetry. That sounds of business. The African Petroleum Producers Organization, APPO, is putting the finishing touches on plans to establish the Africa Energy Bank. The bank is being set up to finance oil and gas operations in Africa in order to curb external financing, which typically has its limitations, citing stringent conditions and environmental concerns. The Africa Energy Bank aims to attract investment from countries such as Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait, while addressing the funding challenges faced by national oil firms in Nigeria. Seems like good fortune from an African point of view. In order to Nairobi, the UN Office for Project Services, UNOPS, usually called NOPS, will relocate to Nairobi, which also serves as the UN Southern Hemisphere headquarters. Even though UNOPS, a self-financing organization, has its Africa region office located under the same roof as its global headquarters in Copenhagen, Denmark. It frequently carries out projects in crisis-hit nations all over. Let's look at the Allianz report. Allianz 2023 Global Pension Report has revealed that African retirees are among the poorest globally. The report, which surveyed 75 countries, including 5 in Africa, cites an ineffective rate level is merely 18%, leaving many senior citizens struggling to make ends meet. Similarly, South Africa has a low benefit ratio of 22%, while Nigeria's benefit ratio is only 16%. Mauritius, on the other hand, fared better with a benefit ratio of 39%, according to the report, being the only source of income in old age. African countries have inadequate pension systems, leading to low income replacement ratios. The governments must prioritize pension reforms to ensure a better standard of living for retirees, according to reports. In Nigerian Outlook, the House of Representatives on Thursday approved Ways and Means advances obtained by the federal government from the President Muhammadu Buhari since December 2022 for the National Assembly to approve the domestic borrowing for the CBN, which the lawmakers had abandoned in January 2023. The approval by the House came about 24 hours after the Senate granted the presidential request, which generated outcry especially from the private sector. The approval came about 3 weeks to the end of the Buhari-led administration. No wonder the outcry. Copper prices, a leading indicator of the global economy's future health, have suffered a steep decline. Prices have lost almost 20% since that January peak as demand from China weakens and recession fears grip the global economy. What economic conditions are copper prices signaling for the second half of 2023? Let's have insights from Scott Burr, the CEO of Pauper Trading.
Months, as low inventories may support prices 8% since its peak in January on weak physical demand in China, as recession threatens the global economy and the optimism about the reopening of the world's second biggest economy has faded. It seems as though copper prices may recover slightly in the coming months, as low inventories may support prices. However, macro headwinds are likely to keep pressure on copper prices, including the fear of recession, China's economic slowdown, and the most recent U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rate hike. Supply conditions improve. Looking further out, copper demand is likely to improve in response to growing demand for renewable energy and electric vehicles.
Looking at global economy and the indices around the world, let's begin with the economic calendar then. Expected data releases for today, Friday, May 5th, 2023. The economic calendar. The economic calendar this morning has shown some positivities and some negativities, but we'll quickly look at the expected data to be out today. The key data is expected to be out today. One of those data that most economists and investors will be looking at would be the unemployment rates in Canada. Previously, unemployment rate in Canada stood at 5%. The forecast is that it should go higher to 5.2%. We'll get to find out around 1:30 p.m. Still around 1:30 p.m. as highlighted with red, the U.S. non-farm payrolls would be out for the month of April. Previous standings was at $236,000. Well, the forecast is at 190, a slight drop. By 1:30, we'll get to find out more. U.S. unemployment rate, the forecast shows unemployment should go up to 3.6% in April, but we'll get to find out around 1:30 p.m. and how this will influence the markets moving forward. Let's look at the Euro area zone. ECB raises rates by 25 basis points. Following 3 consecutive hikes of 50 basis points. Policymakers noted that inflation has declined, but underlying price pressures remain strong, while past rate increases are already weighing on financing and monetary conditions. The European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde spoke
strong. At the same time, our past rate increases are being transmitted forcefully to euro area financing and monetary conditions, with the lags and strength of transmission to the real economy sufficiently restrictive to achieve a timely return of inflation to our 2% medium-term target, and will be kept at those levels for as long as necessary. We will continue to follow a data-dependent approach to determining the approach
of interest rates. Let's look at food prices around the world. The Food and Agriculture Organization and its food price index increased for the first time in a year to 127.2 index points in April 2023 from a downwardly revised 126.5 in March. Sugar prices jumped 17.6%, a third consecutive increase, and reaching its highest level since October 2022 in Thailand and EU. At the same time, meat prices went up 1.3% as international quotation for pig meat rose, and it rose the most on increased import purchases by Asian countries and a continued supply limitation in leading exporters due to high production costs and animal health issues. On the other hand, cereals costs declined 1.7% as a fall in world prices of all major grains outweighed an increase in rice prices. Wood prices, according to the charts, have shown a slowdown since last year. As of July 2022, it was 140.6 index level, but continued in that trajectory, moving downward and getting to a point on 135.4 index level in October 2022 and dropped further downward to January 2023 at 130.2 index level. As at March, it was at 126.5 index level, and for the first time in a span of 1 year, food prices, according to the index level of the world price, has gone. Private sector growth hits near 1.5-year high. The S&P Global Ghana PMI rose to 51.3 in April of 2023, up from 50.9 in the prior month. The latest new orders and output accelerated as customer demand improved amid easing inflationary pressure. Accordingly, firms expanded their employment and purchasing. The chart indicates the strength of the Ghanaian sector, the private sector in Ghana. As of July 2022, it went higher, slightly above the 48 mark. But by October, it had dropped. The performance in the private sector in Ghana dropped below the 44 mark level. By January 2023, it went further upward, above 46 to 47 mark. But by April 2023, it's shown improvement, moving above the 51 mark level. Regarding private sector performances, approached their all-time high. Bob Isino examines how the FOMC and the ECB and banking concerns impact the precious metals assets. Let's find out more from Bob.
It was 2085.40. That was up 2.38% from yesterday's settlement. On the low today, 2038.50. That was also up a small short of 0.9% higher. With only 1 day left, gold's up over 2.3% on the week, which would make it the best week since March 13th. To find a better week, if you took out that March 13th week, you have to go all the way back to January 9th. So either way, it's a very strong week for gold. Now, we had 2 central bank meetings this week. We had the FOMC yesterday. We had the European Central Bank this morning. Both central banks, this was the last rate hike for some time, although he kind of poo-pooed rate cuts, which is...
Thank you, Bob, for the perspective. Let's get to the metal market then to see what the outlines in the market is this morning. The metal market. The metal market shows prices of gold, silver, copper, and it's on a downward pedestal. Gold price $2,038 per ounce, dropping by 12.7 points, a negative 0.62% decline. Silver is the same story, dropping this morning. Copper is dropping this morning. Steel is dropping by 40 points, a negative 1.11 percentage points. Current price for steel is 3,552 Chinese yuan per ton. Let's look at the agricultural market then. Well, the energy market first. The energy market gives an outlook of mixed fortune, positivity, and decline, but there's no volatility in the market, as you can see. Current price for US crude is US crude beans lead the way for agricultural market, $1,456 per bushel, upward by 7.75 points, a 0.54% appreciation. Well, we're back at agricultural market and we're looking at wheat then. Wheat $682 per bushel, up 3.04 points, a 0.44% appreciation. Well, for palm oil is back up, hitting ringgit per ton, upward by 163 points, a 4.76% appreciation. While looking at the foreign exchange market, we'll begin with the digital currencies. The big question would be, are it to pivot from tightening to easing? That's the question. If so, what does this mean for risk assets like Ether? Well, let's have insight from Jim Laurie. Jim Laurie standing by regarding this.
huge headwind for cryptocurrencies as Ether lost 75% of its value from early April 2022 to mid-June of that same year. Now, of course, part of that move was fueled by negative headlines within the crypto space itself, but there's little question that cryptocurrencies have some level of interest rate sensitivity. This year's been a different story. Ether has rallied 60%. Part of this is on the belief that the Fed is now pivoting from tightening to easing. The CME FedWatch tool now suggests the probability favors 100 basis points of easing by the end of 2023 and 225 basis points of easing. In other words, stocks have traded sideways while gold and cryptocurrencies have had significant rallies. Now, the CME has recently launched options on both micro Bitcoin and...
That's the perspective from Jim Laurier. Let's go to the market itself and see what the crypto market is saying this morning. The crypto market. The market this morning has shown good positivity for Bitcoin, struggling to get back to the 30,000 mark. 29,124 US dollar for one Bitcoin, a 247 points gain, a 0.86 percentage appreciation for Ether, 1,902 US dollar equaling one Ether, upward by 24 points. A light decline this morning. Let's look at the euro against the US dollar. The euro against the US dollar still lingering around the 1.10 mark. Gaining just slightly this morning, the pound against the US dollar has gone past the 1.25 mark, moving to the 1.26 mark. Quite impressive. Let's look at the Naira against the majors. Naira's performance against the majors. Well, according to market outlines, we'll talk about the stock market later. Let's also see if we can have the black market perspective after we've looked at the Naira against the US dollar. The US dollar Naira current price 459.84, meaning 1 Naira equaling 1 euro, gaining 0.34 points, a 0.07 percentage appreciation, and the pound against the Naira 578 Naira equaling 1 pound. At the international exchange window, a 0.8 points increase for the pound against the Naira. Let's look at the black market then. 8 Naira equaling $1 and 735 Naira equaling $1 at the selling rate. Pounds to Naira, 926 Naira to 1 pound and 914 Naira to 1 pound at the selling rate. Euro to Naira, 807 Naira to 1 euro and 794 Naira to 1 euro at the selling rate. It would be a good time to look at the stock market, looking at the Nigerian stock market then. The Nigerian bourse recovers with 45.17 billion Naira, but we talk about mutual benefits leading as the top gainer in this one. Nigerian bourse recovered from Wednesday's loss with a 0.15% appreciation in the stock market's equity capitalization based on yesterday's market, which gives an outline to what could happen in today's market. The all-share index rose by 82.98 basis points to close at 52,290.75 points. Let's look at the top gainers. Mutual Benefit led the gainers list with a 10% rise in share price to move from 30 kobo to 33 kobo per share. The bottom losers. Linkage Transcorp led the day's top trading with 811.2 million shares valued at 1.98 billion Naira. This is where we draw the curtain in today's edition of Business 360.